So Joe Biden has been telling lies that are honestly quite Trumpian. They're very, very brazen, very in your face, very shameless. These are verifiably untrue things, but he's plowing forward nonetheless. So here he is. He released a new ad. Now, this ad is attacking Bernie Sanders. But you're going to see, I'm going to show you the ad, and then you'll hear Joe's own words right after. So you make your own mind up as to who's telling the truth here.
Super Tuesday. State after state after state called for Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders goes on the attack. PolitiFact has called the Sanders campaign's attacks false. Joe Biden has always been a strong supporter of Social Security. Biden will increase Social Security benefits and protect it for generations to come. Negative ads will only help Donald Trump. It's time we bring our party together.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Senator, we have a deficit. We have Social Security and Medicare looming. Would you consider looking at those programs, age of eligibility,
Absolutely.
cost of living, put it all on the table?
The answer is absolutely, you have to. I mean, it's one of the things that my, the political advisors say to me is, whoa, don't touch that third. Look, the American people aren't stupid. It's a real simple proposition. Social Security is not the hard one to solve. Medicare, that is the gorilla in the room. And you've got to put all of it on the table.
Everything.
Everything. You've got to.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
When somebody says, I want to freeze spending on those programs, you know what that means, right? It means no cost of living adjustments. Cost of living adjustments increase it gradually. And if there's no cost of living adjustments, it's an effective cut. It's a cut. It's a cut. When he says, oh yeah, we got to put these programs on the table, that's him saying, yeah, we're going to have to, cut them. We're going to have to adjust. And just so everybody knows, in Washington, they use endless amounts of weasel words. So one of the big ones is, and the Republicans are big on this, they say reform. Oh, it's time to reform Social Security, because reform sounds value neutral. And if anything, maybe even slightly positive. But reform, what they mean is, we got to cut it. That's what they mean. Now remember, Joe Biden, and yes, Obama, they tried to do a grand bargain with the Republicans, which would have done Social Security cuts. Now, why did it fall through? This is an amazing story. It fell through because the Republicans said, no deal, we want even bigger cuts. So Biden and Obama were like, hey, here's some cuts that we want to make to these programs. And the Republicans were like, nope, not enough. We want more cuts. And as a direct result of that, the Republican Party being stubborn, that's the only reason why we got away with no cuts. So we lucked out in that sense. But Biden put it on the table, and I guarantee you Biden would do it again if he was president. He absolutely would do it again. Because this is his whole thing. Part of his political identity is, I'm the deal maker. And so he loves to work with people on the right, but not in the way that Bernie does, where when Bernie works with the right, it's in line with his values. So in other words, he worked with Mike Lee of Utah to end our support of a genocide in Yemen. That's a positive thing. That's a good thing. Biden, on the other hand, he'll work with Republicans to do the Iraq war as he did, and he'll work with Republicans to try to cut entitlements as he did. So there's a difference. Biden works with Republicans on their terms. Bernie works with Republicans on his terms to get his ideas implemented. That's everything, guys. That's the whole ball game. That determines whether or not we get right-wing change or left-wing change. So, listen, he's just lying. And look at that ad. So notice he says, PolitiFact calls Bernie's attacks false. Well, hold on now, buddy. You got any more details on that? Notice he didn't put any other specifics. He didn't show the articles. He didn't do any of that. He just said PolitiFact says they're false. Why? Because he knows he's lying. He knows that Bernie is right when you go to the details, when you go to the specifics. You saw him. You heard him with your own ears right there. Biden clearly, guys, Biden supported like the Republican budget in 1998. That's like, that was peak swashbuckling, far right, contract with America, Republican madness. And Biden supported that 1998 budget. This isn't a question. He's repeatedly done what Bernie is saying he did. Now, notice, what does Biden do? Don't get into the specifics, because the specifics would prove Bernie right. So I'm going to lie. And then what is it? Oh, look, I'm a winner. I won all throughout Super Tuesday. I won this state. State after state called for Joe Biden. Amazing, incredible. And then at the end he says, all these negative attacks, they only help Donald Trump. That's your reaction when you have no real response. And I've noticed this a lot lately with Biden. Whenever Bernie says something that's true about how messed up Joe Biden's record is, Joe Biden's response is, there you go again, helping Donald Trump. But wait, are you going to address the substance of the criticism, or are you just going to deflect and obfuscate like you're doing right now? Because that doesn't really speak to the merit of the claim at all. And you could say, I think it's false, and PolitiFact said false. Address the specifics. How is it false? Why is it false? You're on the record. We know you advocated these cuts. You can't, in good faith, go into the details of it and say Bernie is wrong. So you deflect by saying any attack by definition helps Trump. Then why even have a fucking primary? Why even have a primary? The whole point of a primary is to distinguish and differentiate between policy visions and determine who would be the better candidate for the party and who would be better for the country. That's the whole point. If you're saying, hey, Bernie, we can't even discuss policy differences, then you're a pathetic liar and a smear merchant, and you're doing everything you can to steer the conversation into a ditch and to not have the conversation at all, because you know you're going to lose if we have that conversation. I mean, seriously, stop and think about that. Bernie has made crystal clear, and I don't even agree with him on this, but this is who he is. He says, no, we're not going to have a mudflinging contest here. I'm going to help Joe if he's the one who's the nominee and all that stuff. But we will talk about the differences is our policy vision and our record. Joe supported the Iraq War. I didn't. He's wrong. I'm right. And he goes down the list of all the policies, right? But like he's being extra fair, and Biden still turns around. And is like, oh, that's not fair. How dare you? Well, again, then I'll say it. Why even have a primary? Why even have a primary if you're not allowed to talk about differences, to talk about the historical record? See, all they have, guys, is dirty tricks, underhanded tricks. PolitiFact said it's false, even though you have literal video of me saying the thing that you said I said. And man, look, I'm such a winner, and I'm the only one who could stand up to Trump, see? Bro, you have cognitive decline. He will run roughshod over you. Oh my God, it's so sad because we're watching it unfold right in front of our eyes. The DNC, yet again, is doing everything they can. Hey, bias it in favor of Joe Biden. They're changing the debate format to help Joe Biden. They're protecting him. And then guess what? If Biden gets the general election, all bets are off because the DNC can't protect him anymore. They can't protect him anymore because the DNC and the RNC have to make the debate schedule and the rules and all that stuff. So he's exposed. And what are you going to do when Donald Trump runs the compilations of Joe Biden's brain not functioning properly? What are you going to do then? What are you going to do when Donald Trump hits Biden from the left? Bernie's warning you up front. He's providing a counter vision, which is the correct vision. But it's the media and it's the DNC who are criminal in how they hide the flaws of Joe Biden. Guys, all the suburbanite boomer liberals who voted for Joe Biden, they've been told over and over, it's rank propaganda that Joe Biden is the best way to beat Donald Trump. He's the electable candidate. They've been told that over and over and over. And people, unfortunately, believe it. And they acted in accordance with that belief. And unfortunately, I think what this election has become is honestly, we're having a race between old media and new media. Bernie Sanders is the new media candidate. Joe Biden is the old media candidate. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, but us new media people, we're just not big enough to win it yet. We're just not big enough to win it. my microphone is not as big as CNN and MSNBC. We have tiny data points here and there, which bode well for us and for the future. But overall, today, the obvious clear picture is they're still way bigger than us. And they still control the narrative way more than we control the narrative. And we're watching the results of that. Now, I will say, we do pretty good for the demographic that we're largely preaching to. You know, I've seen the YouTube numbers. I know for sure that most of the people who watch this show, most of you guys, are relatively young. And so that's why, one of the reasons why, not to take anything away from him at all, but that's one of the reasons why Bernie Sanders and, you know, his team does so well with the young, and they get an insanely high percentage of young voters because this audience is young. You guys are plugged in. You guys know the policy details and all that stuff. But still, fact of the matter is, we're struggling to reach the older audience, the Gen Xers, the boomers, and older. And they really are under the delusion that the best way to beat Trump is with Joe Biden. And it insults my intelligence when I see an ad like Joe Biden ran there. Because it's so dishonest, it's so underhanded, and all it does, the sad thing is, it's somewhat effective. Because if people don't do the research, if people don't fact-check Biden here, if people don't hear Biden's words, they're going to believe it. And they're also going to think, oh, he cleaned up on Super Tuesday, and he just said, I'm the one to beat Trump, and Bernie's helping Trump. I guess I got to vote for Joe. So it's the simplicity of the message that's actually effective. And unfortunately, again, the coalescing of the establishment, the corporatists coming together, that worked. The media with their Biden protection racket, it worked. And, you know, little old me and the rest of new media, we're on the outskirts screaming our heads off. Iceberg dead ahead, don't do this. And unfortunately, it's like pissing into a hurricane at the moment. So this is where we're at. Joe Biden is doing Trumpian lies in ads. And he's getting away with it. And his non-campaign campaign is working. They're hiding him most of the time, and it's working. He's coasting on his name recognition and positive media coverage and endorsements from other corporatists. We really are watching the empire strike back. And I shudder when I think of what this does to a generation of young people's politics. I shudder when I think of it. Because the Democratic Party has no clue what's about to happen to them. They have no clue. There is no saving this project without young people. And you're actively putting your middle finger up to them every single day. What do the Republicans do? They embrace their base. They throw red meat to their base all the time. Donald Trump is still doing CPAC speeches as president. He spoke at the pro-life conference. Donald Trump, all he does is shore up his base. All the Democrats do is spit in the eye of their base. And the chickens are going to come home to roost. And we're goddamn warning you yet again. You didn't listen in 2016. You ran Hillary and you lost. I told you were going to lose. You didn't listen. I'm telling you again about Biden. It's not over. Get out there and vote for Bernie. Show this video to your parents. Show this video to your friends. Particularly older friends if you have them. Family members, whoever. They need to know. They need to know that Biden would lose. It's not a question. We got one shot at this, and the wrong decisions are being made. We got to fight back.